What's going on, spiritualites? Happy holidays to all you and your families. Welcome back for another video. In this one, we're going to recap my last week of trading. I took 6 trades across 3 days. So we'll jump into some of the backstory on that. Talk about my favorite win and favorite loss as usual. Talk about some systematic improvements that I'd like to make. A little bit of the real life and what affected my trading this week. And then we'll wrap it up with next week's focus. Alright, with that being said, let's jump right on into it. First, let's take a look at our stats for the week. As you can see, first off, that there is nothing in here because I switched over to the new strategy. So instead of kind of phasing it out, I was just back testing and back testing and back testing, and it just made more sense with my brain flow to continue to trade with my new strategy. So I ended up trading only the new strategy in all of these 6 trades. And you'll see I had 4 trades on Monday, 1 trade on Tuesday, 1 trade on Wednesday. And as promised last week, I was going to try to get into more Solana trades. And here I am. I had an even amount, 3 Solana and 3 Bitcoin. I didn't plan it out that way, it just ended up that way. So, as you can see on these 6 trades, anything that isn't a win I count as a loss, but every loss isn't always a loss, if that makes sense. So right here, I've got 3 break-even trades, which really didn't add or subtract. The winnings were negligent. And the 2 losses actually didn't add up as much as my win. So before we get to the main stats, let's take a look at some of these trades. My first one, I decided to go ahead and try the new strategy that I've been testing. Got a good reaction from my bias, but didn't have enough to get to full take profit. Overall, I moved my stop loss to break even after a convincing move. Think I should have adjusted my entry point, but those are the things I'm learning to work with. Moving on to the next break even trade. Price initially broke in the way of my bias, but then there was no follow through. So that's when I moved my stop loss to break even to protect myself. Good thing I did because it went against me. So I like this strategy now because I'm able to see when it's a smart time to de-risk, and I'm not relying on the indicators. Take a look at my other break-even one. I think that was here. This one got scared out of the trade due to how the day had gone. Not sure if the full trade will work out, but after I decided to get out, price went strongly in my direction. Needed to manage my emotions better in these times. So there was a little bit of emotional turmoil coming after losing 1 trade and having 2 break-even trades. So technically, those are all losses in my book, but I hadn't lost a full 3% yet, so I was still doing pretty good. And then to wrap it up at the end of the week, took an early morning trade. Felt a little nervous again because the week had been going below average for me. It was right before I went into work. I was tempted to move my stop loss to break even as early as possible, but I ended up using the strategy of talking to my wife. So I got up from the computer to manage my emotions, went and talked to my wife, had a nice little conversation, and once I got back, I was almost at take profit, so there was no point in me having to worry about over managing the trade. So let's take a look at the summary. Right now, my win rate is still low, 16%. Average R multiple is going up though. So the average that I'm winning on each trade is now minus 17 cents. And with a few wins, I can switch that to positive. The total in the account now went from $100 and now it is at 95.96. First week is when we took our biggest hit. Second week, we only lost a little bit. And now third week, as you can see, we've gained a 0.5%. So I'm loving to see the progression. Unfortunately, we're reaching upon holiday time, and that means the markets have a lot less volatility. So I know personally I'll be off for the next 6 days. So I'll be making sure that I spend some time with my family. And I won't be so deep into the trades as I know there won't be so much action. But we'll talk about that in the future. So let's jump back to the charts and see my favorite win. Once again, my favorite win is my only win, but it comes from Solana. Again, right before I had to get to work at noon, I'm getting into this trade about 9:30. made it on time to the charts this day, so I was able to check out price having bounced from the bottom of a zone that I identified, and we were reaching up to the top of the zone. So once we hit the top of the zone and I saw this pattern break, I noticed that it broke past this, and I counted this internal structure because I wanted a quick move. So I counted this here, boom, 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 boom. So once price broke below here, I went ahead and entered, shorted it down, and I got in and out very quickly. Now, this is what some might call a lucky trade. Even myself, I'm not sure if this was the smartest trade or the best trade. So if I would have had another winning trade this week, this probably would not have made my favorite win. I didn't really enjoy this win. It was a win and I'll take it. But there was a lot of volatility coming afterwards that really could have done some damage had I not gotten in at the right time. And that's what the strategy is mainly about, is finding those good entry points and how to know when not to be too greedy. Moving on to my favorite loss. That comes from the beginning of the week. So this is the trade I got into. I got in down here because I wanted to be convinced of the break. As it broke through, I said, okay, I'll take the short. Price reversed pretty high into my stop loss zone here. So having a better entry, notice I went for my 2.5. I didn't quite make it. I stayed in this trade for a long time. I was running errands that day, had some things going on. I was able to check it, and at some point I was able to move my stop loss to break even. But you can see I spent almost 5 hours in this trade, and so that's not really something that I'm looking for. Had I adjusted my entry point, as this was kind of choppy on the way down, I didn't think it had much to go back and get. I ended up being wrong about that. So had I just moved it up to maybe this point right here and looked for my 2.5, I definitely would have nailed it. So having a better entry point would have definitely helped me get another win, and that'll be something that I'm experimenting with in the coming weeks. That is why it's my favorite loss, because it could have easily turned into win, and in the future those will turn into wins. And so that kind of moves on into the systematic improvements that I really want to make. Going with the new strategy and kind of using it just off base, I haven't been able to integrate the RSI or the zero into that strategy. Volume I always use, but I'm not sure how to use the RSI and how to use the zero just yet. So what I think I'll do for these next coming week or weeks, I'll be testing out a zero of a score of about 5. So when my zero is up into here and then down into here is where I need to really start looking for those maybe reversals or tops or something interesting happening at those points. And if I can pinpoint those, then I'll be able to win a lot more of these trades, because it happens quite often, maybe once or twice a day. So if I'm able to identify those zones and take aggressive trades off of those, as if I did here. Notice the zero was at almost 5 right here. RSI is giving me some highlights. Had I taken an aggressive short after price broke below this, could have had my 2.5. It's something I'm going to be experimenting with in the future, and stay tuned for any improvements that I'll be dropping about this strategy here. Man, real life. Work sucked this week. I had to stay late almost every day. In my line of work, holiday season is one of our busiest times, so we really pick up and we have a lot more workload going on there. So it ends up being longer nights and more strain on everyone around, and makes it a stressful time. So got out late, didn't get to the charts on time every day. Sometimes I just had to hit the snooze button on that alarm, or maybe even turn it off. So I think that kind of contributed to me not really trading on Thursday or Friday. Not to say that there wasn't volatility. There were some moves. Even on Friday there were some moves, but by then I'm getting drained by work and just didn't have the energy. So definitely hope to bounce back after the holidays, which is what I want to update you guys on now. So next week's focus, obviously this week, is Christmas. This will be the only video that I drop this week. I know I've been doing 3 videos a week, but this one will be the only one. I will drop one next week as well. That one will, obviously that's going to be the week of New Year's Eve. So I'll drop one video that week. And then the following week, as I'm expecting volatility to come back to the market and have more impact, I'll drop one video that following week. So in the next 3 weeks, you'll get 3 videos. And then That brings us to January 12th, where I will be right back on schedule with the 3 videos a week, breaking down all the strategies, all the motion of the market that I've been trading, showing you guys what looks good to me and how I'm progressing. So, shout out to me making progress. Started off down 4%, put another almost 0.5% on there, and I took back another 0.5% this week. So, really excited about the future. Hopefully, we get a little bit of volatility so I can maybe trade on Monday, maybe even Tuesday, but definitely not going to have anything happening on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So, I'll check back in with you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Please keep in mind, this is not financial advice. It is for educational purposes only. Before you begin investing and or trading your hard-earned money, consider consulting a financial advisor. And just remember, this is the journey, not the highlight reel. Trade smart, live free.